Let me guess. You get paid one day every month, and that day is your best day. A few days later, you see there's no money left in your account, and you wait for your next paycheck. This cycle has been going on for years, and there's a quiet feeling inside you. I'm always in the same place. Machiavelli realized this centuries ago. A paycheck isn't a reward. It's the price paid to keep you within that system. And the more regularly that price comes in, the less you question it. Today, we're going to talk about this reality, the salary trap, the law of ownership, and the ruthless logic of building systems instead of selling your time. Those who aren't ready to face this uncomfortable truth can turn off the video now. Because this video won't put your mind at ease. It will unsettle you. And that unease is the beginning of change. A salary is not the price of your loyalty, but the price of your control. Why does a company pay you a salary? Because it's buying your time and your skills. And in return, it gives you just enough. Enough to keep you from leaving, but not enough to make you want to leave. This isn't a conspiracy. It's simple economics. The company doesn't give you the full value you produce. It takes a portion. It pays you the rest. And that difference is the company's profit. Machiavelli observed this in the courts of Florence. The prince doesn't pay his advisor his full worth. He feeds him enough to keep him loyal, but gives him just enough to keep him dependent. You are that advisor, and your salary hides a single truth about you. None of the value you create is paid to you. Stop right now. Think. How much of the value you create do you actually receive? Tell yourself this in 1 or 2 words, because that answer reveals just how deep the salary trap really is. It sells your time. It multiplies your time through ownership. Consider 2 people. They start working in the same city in the same year. The first one gets a job. They generate value by the hour, by the month. The moment they stop working, their income stops completely. When they go on vacation, their income stops. When they get sick, their income stops. The second person is also working, but they're building something, software or a property that generates a small rental income. At first, it seems like nothing has changed. What happened 10 years later? The first person is still selling their time. Their salary has increased, but their time is still their only asset. The second person's system has grown. Money keeps coming in, even while on vacation. Income doesn't stop even when they're sick, because they're no longer selling their time. They're running their system. Assets work while you sleep. A job only works while you're working. Think of it in terms of simple math. A job means this. If you work for an hour, you get paid for that hour. When the clock stops, you get nothing. This is a linear system, and linear systems never scale. Property means this. You build it once, and then it keeps generating income over and over again. A YouTube video is filmed once, but can be watched for years. Software is written once, but can be sold to thousands of people. A rental property is purchased once, but generates income every month. This is an exponential system, and exponential systems eventually outpace linear systems. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince who derives his power from a single source loses everything when that source dries up. A prince who derives his power from multiple systems, however, never completely collapses. Being dependent on a single salary means being dependent on a single source. Ownership, on the other hand, frees you from that dependence. Quiet authority builds structures that generate income behind the scenes. One person constantly posts on social media saying, 'I'm an entrepreneur.' They showcase every move they make. They announce every small success. The other is quiet. They don't share anything. But behind the scenes, one is building a user base for a software platform, while the other is generating rental income from a property. Who is stronger 3 years later? The second one, always, because the first one spent all their energy on showmanship. The second one used all their energy on the system, and the system grew quietly, without a target, without drawing attention, and without... Every system requires time first, and freedom second. This is a reality that everyone overlooks. Building an asset isn't free. Writing software takes effort. Buying property requires capital. For the first few months, maybe even the first few years, there's no income at all. You just work. And this period scares most people. They give up, saying, "This isn't working." But those who build systems understand this process well. They call it the founding phase, and they persevere through it with patience, because they know that once a system is established, it begins to run on its own. Machiavelli wrote, "The prince buys tomorrow's freedom with today's hardship. The prince who shuns hardship will never find freedom." A pay raise doesn't set you free. It just enlarges your cage. Most people think earning more will change everything. But what happens when your salary goes up? Your standard of living goes up too. A bigger house, a newer car, more luxurious habits. And as your income rises, so do your expenses. The net result doesn't change. Only the size of the cage you're trapped in gets bigger. This is the most dangerous trap of financial psychology, because it makes you feel like you're moving forward. But in reality, you're standing in the same spot. You're just tied to a bigger salary with an even greater dependence. Ownership breaks this cycle, because ownership doesn't grow in proportion to your standard of living. It grows independently. And one day, it starts generating more income than your salary. Machiavelli once having multiple streams of income is always safer than relying on a single paycheck. Man Chenod, depends on a single paycheck, can lose everything overnight. But what about someone with 3 different streams of income? If one stops, another takes over. If one shrinks, another grows. Because they've spread the risk across all of them. That's why a true authority figure never relies on or trusts a single system. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince who trusts a single ally loses everything when that ally turns against him." A prince with multiple alliances, however, will never collapse because of a single act of betrayal. Never rely on or trust a single source of income. Build multiple systems. Building a system requires ruthless discipline. It's not about daydreaming. That's the harshest reality. Most people dream of building a system, but fail to show the discipline required. One day I'll build a software program. One day I'll buy a property. But one day never comes, because building a system is tedious, repetitive, and invisible work. You write hundreds of lines of code that no one uses. You save up rent for years, and it seems like nothing is changing. And that's exactly when most people give up. Machiavelli once said, "Victory requires patience, and those who are patient always get their share. The impatient, however, back down at the very threshold of victory." Building a system isn't a fantasy, it's a ruthless discipline of repetition. And those who demonstrate that discipline reach a point that those who don't will never see. The true power of ownership is that it makes you invisible. Imagine a scenario. One person goes to the office every day. The boss sees him, evaluates him in meetings. That person's entire income depends on the boss. The other has a system. No boss, no meetings, no visibility. Just the system, working quietly, unseen. When the second person gets sick, the income doesn't stop. When they go on vacation, their income doesn't stop, because their income is no longer tied to their presence. It's tied to the structure they've built. Machiavelli wrote, "The most powerful prince is the one who makes his power independent of his own existence, because power tied to a person ceases to exist when that person is gone. Power tied to a structure, however, is enduring. Ownership makes you invisible, and what is invisible cannot be targeted. The decision is made today. The results won't be seen for years." Perhaps that's the hardest truth. Escaping the salary trap doesn't happen overnight. Building a system starts today, but reaping the rewards takes years. That's why most people never get started. It's hard to invest time and energy into something that doesn't yield quick results. The human brain craves instant gratification, but building wealth doesn't provide instant gratification. It requires years of quiet work, followed by a major payoff. Machiavelli wrote, "The great prince plays not for today's small victory, but for tomorrow's great victory, because great victory always goes to those who are patient." Make your decision today. What system will you build? Alongside your salary, start quietly with a small step. Years from now, that small step will completely free you from the salary trap. You watched this video all the way through. Trip points. And they all have one thing in common. A salary keeps you alive. Ownership sets you free. Selling your time will never get you out of the cage. Building systems, on the other hand, gets you out of that cage slowly, quietly, and irrevocably. Machiavelli wrote, "The prince who sells his time starts over every day. The prince who builds his system, however, grows stronger every day than the day before." Choose just one step today, just one, a line of code, a piece of research. It can be small, but you have to start. Because ownership begins with the first step, and the first step is always taken today. If this way of thinking resonates with you, if you want to learn how to build quiet power and gain freedom through invisible systems, subscribe. Every video here delves one layer deeper, quietly, unassuming, but sharp. Most people will watch this video and move on. A few will stay and change. You decide which one you are. Write this in the comments. I'm not selling my time. I'm building my system.